has remained a major issue in Nigeria's democratic space, with many citizens questioning whether public office holders are truly accountable to the people they serve. Observers say leadership accountability is essential for good governance, transparency, and national development, as elected officers are expected to manage public resources responsibly and fulfill campaign promises. Speaking on the issue, a public affairs analyst, Dr. Adeboyeku, said accountability remains one of the foundations of democracy, stressing that leaders must always remember that public office is a responsibility to the people and not a personal privilege. He stated that public office holders ought to account for their deeds for time.
In the first place, the politicians should be held responsible if there is a law in place to actually ask questions, to actually talk to them, to actually tell us what they actually want to do and what they are not doing. Because in the first place, if there are no consequences for actions, the politicians will continue to do what is wrong. And this loss is not only in Naira and Kobo. There are killings which some politicians have been alleged. There are electoral practices that they have not done right. Some of them are walking in the road without anything that has been done to them. So they should hold them responsible, not even after their tenure, if they are in office, because in the first place they don't have immunity. Probably it can be done quarterly or twice in a year, so that whatever they do, they should be accountable for it at that period, not after their tenure. Yes, we know the governor, deputy governor, president, and the vice president have immunity, but some of them, like some of the ministers, because the president cannot be everywhere, there are some ministers that probably are corrupt or involved in some killings or use their power to suppress some things. Even the human rights aspect, the politicians should not go scot-free, because when the politicians are corrected, the society will be better.
Adeboyeku added that weak institutions, political patronage, and limited citizen participation often contribute to poor accountability in governance. He therefore called for stronger institutions, active civil engagement, and improved transparency mechanisms.
When you think you have this power and you cannot be questioned, it makes the politicians to do anyhow in society. And of course, we are also subjected to the law of the land. So politicians should be held responsible when they are in government. You see, the setup is there, AFCC is there, SPC is there, but the case should be handled when they are in government, and it should be fast. They should be given accelerated hearing, and judgment should come immediately, and they should pay for their sins. Whatever they have done to the land, they should pay for it.
It was gathered that strengthening accountability in leadership will require commitment from both leaders and citizens to ensure that governance reflects the interest and welfare of the people. Ayo Damope Oguninde in leadership has remained a major issue in Nigeria's democratic space.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning to you.
What's up, Engineer Demola?
All right, Engineer Demola, you're welcome.
Yeah, I want to start like this because I had the interview granted for your studio just now. When he said they should be accounted for it. It is good. But the question is that who is going to question them? Look at their primary. What is all the Ogun Ile one? You just put your candidate. All this, I don't know the language to use for the primary they are doing. Our party, Baba Sopri, Baba Wambe, Baba, they pick whoever they wanted to. Look at even their primary. So after the bands consensus, bands direct primary, at the end of the day, look at it. So is that if that eventually the person now become whatever he wanted to become? Is that kind of a person that is going to prosecute his predecessor? So they have captured this country. It's only the citizens that can stop it whenever they are ready. The next one is insecurity. Is it today that government has been spoken? Is there anything government does about it? That's why it's like this insecurity, there is no sign of stopping it. There is no sign, and they know. When people are telling us that Sharia can be taken to Yoruba land, and this is an amalgamation of 1914, so it's not today's plan. And so for people who are against it by Gani Adams, he said this some 2 years ago. He said if he bring out his name, they will prosecute him. They will say he do it illegally. You know what happened to Igbo when he was attacked? Because he wanted to stop his people. So willingly, is the government ready? There's no time. They know they are not ready. Because if they are ready within 24 hours, government can stop it. When government can go on media and say government is one sending people after him, the security to go and address them. Do they against it? Do they question him? He's talking even as if he's stronger than the Mr. President. And nobody anybody is saying. And even in the early days of Mr. President in the office, when he spent all the day in the office, when he was first elected, he said, I see your pain, and there's nothing I can do. When that thing comes from Mr. President, what else do we want? What do we wanted to hear? And most of the Obas, how many of them were elected by IFA? Most of them are the governorship candidates, president candidates. What else do you want to do? When Mama Teko started at Iran Doyo, the father started it. He wanted to single-handedly handle it. Let that government withdraw it for him. And join, he said the Southwest to take it. After Southwest taking it, they treat it so that they will not strong. If everybody face their own. It was a joint plan before. And the man even said, they're not going to even use anything. They're going to use the. But they know it's going to affect them. They will do it from Tama. So we know our problem, but we are pretending. God bless you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, Mike. Comfort. Let's quickly discuss this, please. Let's quickly discuss it before we take another call. Let's discuss this. You know, on Monday we were saying something that Amotekun core. They shouldn't be following politicians. They shouldn't be following any individual. They shouldn't be following any stakeholder. They are meant to guide the people. They are meant to secure the people. You know what I'm saying now? Yeah. So now, this news just broke out now this morning. A person from Akure, Ekiti, one man from Akure, Ekiti, posted this on social media. He said, with trembling hearts and voices heavy with fear. Hello, good morning. Oh my God.
All right, I think we just quickly round off so we can, because we have a little bit of issue with the audio this morning. Yes, technical issue, but we just have to flip the page now. I will meet to our guest who is already online, a public affairs analyst, Lekan Olajobi. Glad to have you join us this morning on the program, sir.
Welcome aboard.
Hello, sir, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for accepting to talk to us on Glow Focus.
My pleasure.
All right, so this morning we're looking at accountability and leadership. Are public office holders accountable, to the people? That's what we're looking at today. And of course, we'd like to ask. Okay, we've talked about quite a number of things, and every election cycle they come with promises, handshakes, and smiling billboards. But once the votes are counted and the swearing in is done, the question becomes, who are they answering to now? So we pay taxes, we queue to vote, we fill the potholes, the blackout, the empty hospitals sometimes. Yet when
beneficial to them, that's the essence of the contract. And in this contract, when they see you as someone who have the pedigree, competence, capability to represent them, you are voted or you are elected into government, right from the local government grassroots to the subnational to the National Assembly, State of Assembly, and even the presidency. That's how it is been. But the truth of the matter is, most times there are breaches in this kind of contracts because all of us can't just rule. We have to, elect some few people amongst us who will represent us in so many ways and in all areas and sectors of the economy. And because of that, we have seen so far that accountability, transparency, probity, integrity are all things that are expected to be one of those prerequisites looked into for people that are elected to represent us in every facet of governance. But in Nigeria, so far, the level of accountability has been left unattended to in a manner that nobody these days actually gives room for most of the things that are supposed to be done by them, even when they are done or not, to actually be accountable. And there are so many reasons, both exterior and interior reasons why this has been, and it has even almost become a norm in our society today, whereby accountability, which is to give account, to render, and to be answerable to that same people, fulfilling the social contract that has been formally agreed upon by both the governed and the government. So, owing to that, we still believe that, whether people agree to it or not, it's one of the things that will make you, as a representative of your people, have that integrity to actually be that person that they have chosen to represent them who has done that very well. But in due course, I would believe that accountability is evading the society, and then it is just because most even agencies that are made, apart from the people who are supposed to oversee and supervise all the things that have been promised by the representatives to do, are even compromised. So what happens in the long run is that there's no sense of accountability. Most of those things that they are supposed to give account to, they are not giving account. And even when protests or even issues are being brought up, they parried it around. And we have always, at the end of the day, had this kind of government where nobody seems to be accountable anymore.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, so let's look at a few, more things. And of course, we know that there are a lot of Nigerians, do not have faith in public office holders. But don't you think there are also contributory factors, contributing factors from the part of the people, some who play the enablers role by allowing public office holders to go scot-free, by not being accountable. But let's look at the spoiler role that is allegedly being played by an average Nigerian, because sometimes some people would argue that in public offices, of course, embezzlement happens because a civil servant has decided to compromise, rather than the politician or maybe the head of service or maybe the head of the place or whatever parastatal it is that people, are accusing of maybe inaction or action. People are of the opinion that somebody has enabled that person to be able to do that. Let's look at the enabler role of an average Nigerian and how he's contributing
Thank
to
you
this
very
menace.
much. Thank you very much. This menace that we're talking about, it's a collaboration, or let me put it this way, that has been aiding and abetting and compliance from the public service holders and even the politicians who are expected to do. But you remember that one of the characteristics of a civil service or a public service is that you must be neutral. There's neutrality, anonymity, non-partisanship, and all that. But all those things have been compromised. Why? Because they are supposed to be the watchdog a long, long time. And it's difficult right now for an average person, even civil liberty organizations and all that. At the end of the day, you find out that most of them are being compromised. They end up in politics. And when they go into that, who is going to hold each other accountable for whatever reasons that the government that has promised people and even statutorily to do what they're supposed to do have not done them? So it's a systemic failure, and then it has come to become it has become a norm, and people no longer find interest in even trying to engage the government in minute details of what expenditure and income and revenues are. Rather, they are waiting for when the election period will come so that they will give them some money again. And then, the Diboko say the issue is still on. So all these things right now has become a system whereby it makes it more difficult for them to be accountable. We have a justice system that does not even have that impact on whoever is caught. You can have so many people, so many public holders, and even all of them that have been caught, including the politicians, found wanting of embezzlement, looting public funds, putting it into private pockets, go scot-free. And that, sometimes they even talk about plea bargain. You can imagine the kind of justice system we're talking about. If you're able to cut away some money, and at the end of the day, you are caught, and you can now negotiate with the government how much you have to give back and all that, without even mentioning names. I would particularly tell you that all of us know that corruption has become the bane of development of this country. People have been impoverished mentally and even financially. So once they are backed up in the corner, there is hardly anyone now that is even talking about what the government is doing, why they want to do it. And when the election cycles comes back again, there's nothing they will do other than to capture those people again and make sure that it's either they are disenfranchised or they are enfranchised with money, so that they would only continue to oil that system, which brings no good to anyone. So it is a systemic failure right now that needs to be done, because nobody seems to be accountable in any public position right now, giving people, and people are not making them answerable anymore. Everybody is engaged in one way or the other, thinking that corruptible tendencies that is within the system has to continue. So it's a general thing now that has bedeviled this country and has not made development easily possible for us to enjoy a better standard of living, because nobody is holding anybody responsible, and the law itself has been compromised. There are a lot of times when even the agencies that are made to look into this, supervise financial crimes and all that too, at the end of the day, are toothless bulldogs, because those who make the laws are the breakers of the laws, and people go scot-free or even make plea bargains and go to spend their loots elsewhere. We have so many of them. So it's an endemic problem within the society that needs to be attended to. Else, there's no accountability, no probity, no transparency, and people are there looking at the government because they are either being, ostracized by the government not to allow them be there because they have been impoverished. We have mechanized poverty, and then the system keeps going like that, on and on. And what we have at the end of the day, a low and then unprofitable development at the end of the day, which gives us nothing other than low per capita income, standard of living is low, unemployment, infrastructural deficits, and so on and so forth.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lekan Olajobi. My question is, uh,
Even the ones that would tinker with the constitution of their country to favor them, even when we are, deceiving ourselves that we're practicing democracy, whereas it's plutocracy, that the government of the wealthiest ones, that kleptomaniacs and all that is what we are practicing in Nigeria. It's unfortunate at this moment that nobody is accountable, especially when you're into governance. That's why I use the word connivance. When you have the public service holders, you cannot differentiate them from politicians. They are already politicians. And let me tell you one of the things that gives this happen. In the presidential system of government that we are talking about, for instance, the power that resides with the president is enormous. All those parastatals agencies that we're talking about, the ministries, when they get to the highest level of the cadre of those people that are supposed to hold the helms of affairs of such ministries, agencies, or departments, we have it politicized. The government of the day will look at whoever is willing and ready as a tool to be used in that connivance and compromises to embezzle funds, and they put him there. The president of the country appoints the CBN governor, he appoints the inspector general of police, he appoints the INEC chairman, he appoints, so to say, so many of these, the CJN of the country and all that. So in that manner, you will find that this overriding power allows them to do so much, and then they tinker with the positions that are already been written within the acts of civil service, of federal civil service, and public service holders at the end of the day. They're supposed to be neutral, they're supposed to be non-partisan. But as we speak, you find some of them even still playing politics within that place more than politicians themselves. So there's a mixture or an admixture of what exactly is the reason why corruption has been allowed into the fabrics of the whole society, irrespective of the sector you want to talk about. And this is the more reason why accountability seems to be elusive in the country as we speak. Nobody gives account about resources, revenues, and so many other things, of course, between the agencies of government, either the public service or even the politicians, as we're talking about the executive and the legislators. All of them, their appropriations of funds, their budgets and all that, both fiscal and monetary policies that the government is saying. The government of the day, for instance, is talking about economic reforms. They're talking about renewed hope agenda and all sorts. But do we actually still see the sense of accountability? To be honest with you now, a lot of people are saying that during this administration, we have had the fuel subsidy removal has allowed our revenue, to increase exponentially to a point that even states now have enough funds to do so much, even irrespective of the inflation to the GDP and all that. But where is accountability? Where are all these funds? Where are all these resources? At the time, the presidency was saying that they should ask the governors about them. One is expected right now to see more of infrastructural development, see more of healthcare, educational improvement and all that, but we are not seeing them and nobody is talking about it. And that's why the topic we are talking about right now is really, charging every one of us as individuals to see at what point should we, continue to, have this abuse of authority by those in government, nepotism, favoritism. At the end of the day, nobody gives account for anything. And then you would see that the only way with which we can go ahead with this is a total overhaul, restructure of the system, whereby there has to be an orientation that divorces us from that mentality of corruption. Either way, we will not be able to have gone or, to have achieved what we expect to have achieved as a country. So the issue about abuse of power, the issue about public office holder not being accountable is just telling you that the head and the leadership of this country, are all together as one, doing this without any form. And sometimes it's even witch hunt when it comes to political opposition, for instance. You can only see that except for those people that are witch hunted to have done something against them, that they use those elements, I will call the agencies, to hunt down. And at the end of the day, they go scot-free. We can mention names and keep mentioning names in Nigeria to have a lot of books in your studio there of people who at one time or the other in this country have carted, even some of them have been convicted of some financial crimes, but they're walking free in as much as they have their way through. So that's one of the reasons why even the National Assembly, the legislature, the three arms of government right now are looking away. If you're talking about the justice system of Nigeria, why is it that even now when those those people are caught, you hear all sorts of terminologies, plea bargaining and all sorts, and people are not brought into book. And there are even judgments upon judgments here and there, and then the rulings here and there that will come contradictory to even the economic crimes that most of them have committed. So we are in a soup in this country until we are willing and ready, because every facet of the society as we speak and all the fabrics have been immersed into corruptible practices.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me quickly ask you, you've said quite a number of things, but I would like to ask you the role of...
Through weaponization of poverty, even mentally and financially, so as not to be able to, engage the government. So there's a breach in that contract, and the law that is guiding the contract, which is the Constitution, has been used in favor of those people who are in government. So what we are expecting, or what we expect to see at the end of the day, is that how can a local government, for instance, be not be accountable or be made accountable by the grassroots people that the local government chairman is? There are reasons. For instance, the local government chairman, until recently, that even the financial autonomy of the local government, for instance, that already the Supreme Court has given the ruling that it should be autonomous financially and all that. Up to where I'm speaking to you, it has not been allowed to see the light of the day, because the governors are still insisting that they have part of it and they cannot completely rid of the allocation that is meant for the local government themselves. And the people are there. So when you see the bottlenecks, the bureaucratic bottlenecks that has already been used by all these people to ostracize the commonwealth from the common people, the expectation is that there is nothing that will be functional. I don't know why from the grassroots now, if the truth, because of the devolution of power, is allowed that the local government chairman and the allocation and the resources for the local government are given to them, then it will be easier for people. Now, let alone a person in his local government now wants to go to the subnational to question the state authority on how revenues, expenditures, and income of the state is. So they have been ostracized from governance, they have breached the social contract, and then the particular arm of government, which is the judiciary, to interpret, adjudicate, and bring people to law too, has equally been compromised. So it's a system that I've seen that, except the people are oriented and they know that, yes, they have to face the truth as regards taking, because the power is supposed to be with the people. They're supposed to reside with them.
Hello, are you there? Mr. Lekan Olajobi, are you there?
Democratic norm. Going away with it.
Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. We had a little fluctuations there.
Oh,
earlier.
along the line. Okay,
Yes.
let me summarize what I said initially.
Towards the end.
That it is not towards the end. Okay.
Yes.
As we are rounding off, I would like to implore every Nigerian and people that are listening that it's not over yet. People should come up and realize that power belongs to them. The sovereignty of this country resides with the people. And we are still the one that have given those people the rights to rule over us in that social contract. When people come together and the rights of that they have been given by that constitution, which is entrenched, that the fundamental human right is to make them accountable, should allow people to know their rights, come up with it, engage the government in the best way possible within the arms of the law. When all these are happening, then we'll be ready to know that people are not only docile, they are coming up to challenge those people that they put there to govern them and give answers and accountability to what they have appointed them or elected them to represent them for.
All right. Thank you very much. Before we round up, finally, basically accountability, we cannot overemphasize the role and importance of accountability, especially in the public. But now, basically, let's look at, some trends that we have seen over time. Let's look at electoral integrity challenges. Elections actually remain the most direct way. So, citizens tend to want to hold their leaders accountable. Let's look at, voter apathy. Because, for example, we have seen Nigerians who have decided that instead of being involved in something that they would not have, direct control over, they would, rather stay off it. Rather stay off from that thing. And vote, voter apathy continues, in Nigeria. A lot of people leave these things, in the hands of public office holders alone without participating. But in the end, or before the end of the 4 years tenure or anybody's tenure in public office, same Nigerians are out to complain.
Big stance in enforcing the real accountability. Institutions like AFCC and ICPC, yes, are expected to investigate corruption objectively, even the judiciary as well. should ensure justice without political interference. Lawmakers are supposed to oversee the executive's arms and protect the public interest. However, when institutions become compromised, accountability weakens. My question now is that, are the anti-corruption agencies truly independent? If yes, why do high-profile corruption cases, often drag for years without conclusion? Are lawmakers effectively performing oversight functions or protecting political allies? Is the judiciary strong enough to hold powerful leaders accountable? Because in this just concluded primary elections, we see cases like Yaya Bello. Yaya Bello had cases with AFCC, and now Yaya Bello, he won the primaries as well in Kogi. So what is really happening in this country?
I actually decided not to drop names because of the nature of this conversation. And thank God you have mentioned names, and that has opened up to so many names that can still be mentioned. Lizani is in London right now, and so many of them who have, even alleged to have involved themselves in financial frauds and all that. But that's the country that we are in. That's why I said it's a systemic failure. And because of that, those that are in government have a way of protecting themselves and shielding themselves away. Even after the breach of that social contract has been established by them, they continue to nurture it as against the people. Otherwise, all the institutions that you have mentioned, for instance, are they actually functional when it is the president of the country that appoints who becomes the EFCC chairman? So if anyone, for instance, is looking at that, will the person that is appointed as the chairman of EFCC do anything against the will of the president? That's why the case of Yaya Bello is funny, and you mentioned it, and that's why I'm opening up to you in this conversation. So that's an example that some of us should sit back and see. And it's not only him, Ibori is there, and several others of them who actually wants to find their way back into government. And you see the oxygen that they get from governance is nothing more about power and the commonwealth, the patrimony of Nigerians. To say the least, I would expect now that there should be a complete overhaul of the system. Because if the president has those overriding powers till tomorrow, the ICPC is still the one. There are supposed to be institutions that have independence. The judiciary, how independent is the independence of the judiciary? How independent are they? So we are now at a crossroads whereby we need a total reorientation of the people, which of course the media advocacy that we're doing right now is part of it. But our people should be conscious and know their rights enough to at least a point that those people that they are supposed to represent them, that they put there, should be accountable to them. If they are waiting for voters or voting seasons again to vote them out, we have just held the primaries. It is just name dropping. We have seen what happens in the last few days in Akure, for instance, where there are gunshots here and there, just because the people want to, struggle for power and they want to have access to the primaries, to be candidates of whichever elected positions they want to go to. So the truth of the matter is people already have been banished to a corner. And I'm of the opinion that until we revolutionize our thinking and then we begin to see things in the light of that freedom that man and the society itself should have, and then when those people that are caught are actually brought to book and we're able to see that the law of the land is that the rule of law reigns supreme. Until when we have all these things, we will continue to merry-go-round, and then we won't have anything. And who suffers and who bears the brunt at the end of the day? It is those public people. That's why they say the public servants, they're supposed to serve the public. But at the end of the day, still the public still serving those servants. And they're there, and there's nothing to show for it, no sense of accountability, no probity. If you are caught, if you know your way through, you can be let off the hook and you walk scot-free. Having so many of those people who eventually have embezzled the money, the patrimony, the commonwealth of this country, and they are using the money again to buy power and to sustain themselves in power, and then without that they cannot live and sustain themselves elsewhere. So I am of the opinion that we should continue to enlighten people, sensitize them more about their rights. For instance, if people have more information about what rights they have in terms of who they choose and why they choose them, the institutions will become, gradually better, and then when they are better for it, they begin to grow. And when they grow as an institution, they will be impervious to any influence that will come from outside, knowing fully well that there are acts that guide them within the constitution to do such. That's why most of the democracies, especially the best one that we are talking about, institutions have already been established and they have been consolidated over 1 or 2 centuries. So it is not very easy to interfere or intervene from the government of the day and the judiciary. We have quite a lot of examples then. If you have failed then you, in any way, you will be brought to book, irrespective of who you are. There are countries where even the presidents, that have gone back to jail when they have done so many. It happened in South Africa, it happens in so many other places. That's why you see that in a viral system where institutions are given the right to see that from the leadership setup, there are people who have made examples for what they have done wrong. Everybody will sit tight, and those institutions now will be formidable enough, to transact and to do their own bidding in the scheme of things in the country.
All right, thank you very much for accepting to talk to us on Glow Focus this morning, Mr. Lekan Olajobi. Thank you very much for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to have me. Thank you.
Do well to have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So that's it. And of course, we wrap it up on that interview segment on the focus for today, which is accountability and leadership. Are public office holders accountable to the people? You can also be part of the conversation much later. But we're going to short break now. The program continues. Please stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. This is still Glow Focus. Of course, apologies that we won't be listening to sport today. Well, let's see if we can still squeeze it in. Of course, we have someone in the studio this morning who is here to talk about natural and organic way people can take charge of their health. And we do have Ajagbe Ogenero. Glad to have you join us on the program this morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
All right. So, why are you here in the studio today? So let's get to know why you're here.
Okay, so one of the things that people are not taking so seriously is their health. A lot of people tend to take their health for granted. They are not intentional about the way they live their life, starting with the food they eat, the lifestyle they live, and all of that. So we want to I've come to create awareness how people can naturally and organically stay healthy.
So how do we do that naturally and organically?
First and foremost, your kitchen should be your first pharmacy. So it starts with the kind of food you're eating. The way you go about eating your food. A lot of us, we eat processed food, and that is punishing your body. That is suicidal to the body. So the best way to live is natural, to eat natural food the way God made it. So that's one of the ways. Then stress is another thing that is affecting people. People should be deliberate about how to handle stress. It's another thing. There's lack of exercise. A lot of people live sedentary lifestyle. They just feel, somebody will tell you that I've been in the office since morning. I sat down, I was walking about, but that's not exercising. Exercising is you being deliberate. Your mind is aware that you are exercising. You're taking maybe like a 30 minutes walk, and then when you're in the office, every 2 hours you stand up to stretch your legs, you do body movement. You know what they say about this body thing. When you're not moving the body, the law of use and unused, when the body is not properly used, before you know you should use less of them, more of crayfish, your bunga fish, you use lots of those things, natural things, because most of all these seasonings, they have monosodium glutamate, which is highly cancerous, so use less of them and then more of natural things. Your iru, very, very healthy, though it smells, but it's very healthy. That iru contains a lot of vitamin A, which is very good for your eyes, can help your eyes to, once the cells of the eyes are getting weak, your iru is one good thing to be able to restore it, and all of that. Then you should always exercise. That exercise is very important. Every day, be deliberate to do at least 30 minutes walk daily. And then if you have the time to go to gym, fine. But if you don't have, at least let's say you live in an upstairs, you can always just do the stairs. And then if you have a skip rope, you can skip. That's a very good way. Then if you have a bicycle, you can cycle, So those are, then if you have the time to, you can go on long walks, and all of that. Those are ways to stay healthy.
For the staircase, like how many minutes, how many steps? Of course, we have Like how many in a day?
Okay, okay,
I want
good.
you to be specific.
Okay, so now for the staircase, let's say you have a 20 staircase, you can do it like 10 times. You know, just go up, down, go up, down, go up, down. And then for the ladies, you can do something like a squat. It really helps the knees because as you're aging, especially when you're past the age of 35, your knees, the bones start getting weak. So, but when you are conscious of doing this squatting, you know, you're strengthening the muscles of the knee. So that's another good exercise to do too. Yeah.
How about the elderly? Elderly cannot do that. Who probably stay in an environment, a duplex or something that you have to go through the staircase, or some would prefer to even just stay downstairs. Well, how do they go about it? Aside from you talked about seasoning, you talked about how to use natural way, eating and all that, adding spices to our food. But then, not the natural exercises. The elderly ones, what do they do? How do they go about it?
Okay, that's very true. The truth of the matter is once a woman is already past, let's say woman is already past the age of 60, 65 years, you don't really expect them to be doing those kind of squatting. But what they can do mainly is just walk. That's walk, 30 minutes, maybe around the compound. They can just do a walk, just morning and night. Ensure that they are not sitting for too long, yes, every day. Because that's sitting for too long, that's where the problem starts. Because the muscles are no longer exercised. And when you're not exercising them, they get weak naturally. And then they can also, at this point, they can also use some supplements, that I'm feeling headache. Sometimes the body is telling you, I want to sleep, I need rest. Every time the body speaks to us, it's just that we don't listen. If you're very attentive and you are conscious of your body, it speaks to you. So let's listen to the body when it speaks. When you're feeling headache, take a lot of water and then rest. If it doesn't go down, then sleep. So most times that's what the body is telling you. It's not just telling you, because by the time you keep taking that paracetamol, you are numbing that pain. When the body really needs the paracetamol, because you're used to taking it to numb the pain, you won't know when things go wrong. So that's all right. Okay, so for those of them that want to reach me, because I am a natural health practitioner, naturopath. So my number is 080 60 49 01 65. I'll take that again. 080 60 49 01 65.
Thank you so very much for coming on the video. I'm sure, do you have more information that will give us all the information that we need to know before Friday?
I think basically it's just there will be a lot more information on Friday if they can come.
Tell us again.
Okay, 54 Oba Adeshida Road, opposite Wema Bank, Akure. That's where it's to meet me. The name again is Ogenero Ajagbe.
All right, many thanks, Ogenero Ajagbe, for coming on the program this morning. We hope to have you some other time on the program.
Thank you so much.
All right, we will enjoy the rest of your day. This is still Glow Focus, please.
Voice, keep it locked on Glow 99.1 FM.